Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and I want to discuss a question that I'm often asked about how do you transition a patient from an existing podiatrist to a new podiatrist? And if you're the business owner, how do you transition your patients to somebody else in your team without them sort of getting annoyed? And I think it's really important to point out, and I'll remind you again about this at the end, that usually the podiatrist has more of a hang up, or the business owner has more of a hang up about moving a patient than the patient does themselves. You think that everybody wants to see you because they've been seeing you for so long. But I tell you right now, if you do the transition the right way, you'll find this quite easy to do over a period of time. And you'll find out that maybe you're not as important to the patient sometimes as we like to think we are. So before I get into the details, if you're enjoying these videos, I always say, click the subscribe button, tell your podiatry friends these videos exist, and let's get into this. So first thing you do, you've got some patients that you want to move on to another team member. What I'd normally recommend is in your diary, identify those patients that you want to move on. You might put a little asterisk next to them. You might put a number, a code, or something like that. You say to the other podiatrist in your team, just call the podiatrist John. You say, hey, John, throughout today, I've got a couple of patients marked, and you'll see there's the number 6 next to them, or an asterisk. When you see that, at some stage, just come and knock on my door and just make an excuse to come in and ask me a question about something. When you come in, I want to introduce you to the patient that I'm with. So as I'm with the patient doing my treatments and all, there's a knock at the door, knock, knock, knock. John comes in and says, hey, John, how you doing? He asked me, oh, John, by the way, this is Steve. I've been seeing Steve for a while now for this particular problem. And then I'd say to Steve, if for some reason I'm not available, feel free to book him with John. If I had your problem, I would see John for that. So I trust John a lot. Patient goes, not a problem. And then they leave. The next time Steve is booked in, I may do it a second time. If I don't do it a second time, what we do is the next time Steve is booked in, I would put a little mark there and I'd say, John, cut through the reception. When you see Steve there, walk over and just introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm John. I met you some time ago, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago. Could have been last week. Introduce yourself, and Steve will probably say, oh, yes, I remember. I saw you last time that I was here. Okay. Now, what we're trying to do here is build a connection up with your patient with some of your existing podiatrists. Because what you don't want to do is just grab a patient, just dump them over to the other column because you don't want to see them. And all of a sudden they don't want a surprise that they're seeing a new podiatrist. And they don't want to be told just over the phone, oh, by the way, you're seeing John, you're not seeing Tyson anymore. So what happens next is as you move through this, you could then, if you're seeing Steve, you could say, Steve, when you make your next appointment with me, just want to let you know, I'm going to need to book you in with John. I've got some study commitments. I've got some family commitments, I've holiday commitments, whatever it is. Would you mind seeing John for your next appointment? Now, Steve is probably going to say, yeah, that's not a problem. I've met John. I was talking to John in the reception area before I came in here today. Once again, they've built up this connection. Or if Steve rang the clinic and said to your receptionist, oh, I need to make an appointment, thanks to see Tyson, the receptionist go, oh, and if I've got it blocked out and I've put a marking on Steve's file that he is now to be reappointed to maybe John, you'll have a warning, something in your patient database on how this will work, because every program is different. The receptionist say, oh, Steve, just to let you know, Tyson's not going to be available. Would you have a problem seeing John at all? I've never had a patient say no. When you've created that connection with them, when you've had the podiatrist meet some of your existing patients, whether they've come in the room, said hello once or twice, they've said hello in the reception area, they now feel that they know them. And I've already told them earlier on that if I had their problem, I wouldn't have a problem seeing John to get him to treat. So we've built up trust with John already. So just try that and see here again. This is what I said before, where sometimes I think it's the business owner who has the problem moving a patient, and they go, oh, no, but my patients won't see anybody else but me. Really? If you got injured or there was some illness and you had to be off of work for a week, do you think your patients would go, oh, no, we're not going to see anybody? No, they would see whoever they have to see, but that is being forced upon them. I think if you can do this transition, create connections between your existing podiatrist and your patients, you'll find that transition is a lot easier. Like I said, there's a bit of detail that you need to work through, and depending on your CRM program, your patient management program, what you're using, there'll be some details in there that you need to work through. But if you have any questions, please send me an email, tf@tysonfranklin.com. Hope you enjoyed this video. And as you usually do, I'll have another one next week. I may even have two. We'll see what happens. And if you're liking the videos, please click the bell. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any videos. And also, don't forget, check out the Podiatry Legends podcast if you haven't listened to an episode recently. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.